The gym smelled like sweat, determination, and overpriced protein powder. It was a kind of place where grunts echoed against the walls, metal clanked as weights met their racks, and mirrors reflected the endless pursuit of physical perfection. For most people, it was just another Tuesday. But today was different. Today, Alex Ryder walked through the doors. Alex had been coming to this gym for months, but today was the first time they arrived with a purpose beyond lifting. Their short blonde hair was damp from the rain outside, and their toned physique, earned through months of training, moved with confidence. Dressed in a fitted tank top that subtly highlighted their muscular frame, Alex wasn't here just to work out. They were here to prove a point. The gym had its usual crowd, hardcore lifters at the squat racks, groups of young guys hogging the dumbbells, middle-aged men pacing on treadmills, and the occasional Instagram influencer setting up a ring light for the perfect workout selfie. Alex had heard the whispers before. Is that a dude or a chick? I don't care what they say. Biology is biology. Can't believe we have to share a locker room with that. It wasn't the first time Alex had encountered ignorance, but today, they were done ignoring it. Today, they were going to prove that being transgender didn't make them any less of an athlete. They moved to the bench press, racking up weights heavier than what most of the guys around could handle. As they laid down, gripping the bar, they caught the eyes of a few gym-goers staring. Some curious, some mocking, some clearly skeptical. Alex inhaled, steadied their breathing, and pushed. 1, 2, 3 reps. The weight felt light. The adrenaline helped. A small crowd had already begun to form, whispering among themselves. Alex smirked, adding 20 more pounds to each side of the bar. A few of the guys exchanged glances. Some scoffed. No way they're doing that weight. Alex set their hands on the bar again. They weren't just lifting now. They were making a statement. Another rep. Another. Then one more for good measure. As the bar racked at a loud clang, a few onlookers had to admit they were impressed. But just as Alex was about to sit up, a voice cut through the air like a razor. All right, let's cut the act. Silence spread across the gym. Standing near the weight racks was Damien Cole, the kind of guy you'd expect to see in motivational YouTube videos with titles like The Grind Never Stops or Wake Up at 4 a.m. if you want to be a winner. Tall, chiseled, and exuding Sigma male energy, Damien wasn't just another gym rat. He was the self-proclaimed alpha of this place. No one dared to challenge him, and no one ever won when they did. His sharp blue eyes locked onto Alex with the intensity of a man who had spent way too much time listening to podcasts about real masculinity. You're trying to prove something, right? Damien said, crossing his arms. His voice was deep, slow, deliberate, like he enjoyed the way his words held weight. Trying to make a scene? Let everyone know how valid you are. Alex stood up, unfazed. I don't need validation from anyone here. Damien chuckled. Then why the show? You could have just lifted your weights and gone home. But no, you needed the attention. He gestured at the crowd gathering around them. You needed an audience. That's the thing with you people. It's never enough just to live your life. You got to make sure everyone else sees it. Alex's jaw tightened. They knew this moment would come, but they weren't about to back down. So, what? You think people like me don't belong here? Alex asked, keeping their voice level. Damien smirked. Oh, you can be here. You can lift all the weight you want, but you don't get to rewrite facts. A few guys in the crowd nodded. Others shuffled uncomfortably. Some were clearly just waiting to see what happened next. Alex folded their arms. All right, Damien, enlighten me. What facts are you about to destroy me with? Damien exhaled dramatically, as if he'd been waiting for this moment his entire life. Simple, he said, rolling his shoulders. Men and women have biological differences. Strength, endurance, hormones. No matter how much you bench, you are not a man. You can take all the testosterone in the world, but that won't change your bone structure, your muscle fibers, or your genetics. He took a step closer, his voice growing sharper. You want to call yourself whatever you want? Fine, that's your choice. But reality doesn't care about your feelings. You will never be able to outlift someone like me. Alex clenched their fists. The fire inside them burned hotter now. The gym was silent. Everyone was waiting. Then Alex grinned. Oh yeah? Prove it. Damien raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? Alex walked over to the deadlift station and began loading plates onto the bar. 2 plates. 3. 4. The weight was stacking up fast. They turned to Damien. Since you're so sure, let's put it to the test. You and me, right now, 1 lift. Whoever pulls the most weight wins. The gym erupted. People murmured, excitedly forming a semicircle around the weights. It wasn't just about lifting anymore. It was a showdown. Damien smirked. You really want to embarrass yourself like that? Alex shrugged. Only one way to find out. Damien cracked his knuckles, stepping forward. His confidence never wavered. He was built for this. His body was sculpted from years of discipline, of pushing his limits. This wasn't even a competition. But as he stared at Alex, at the fire in their eyes, something in his gut twisted. This wasn't going to end the way he thought. The air inside the gym grew thick with tension. Everyone had stopped their workouts. The treadmills hummed. Weights sat untouched on racks, and even the gym staff hesitated, unsure whether to step in. All eyes were on Alex and Damien. I think you've made your point, Damien said, stepping forward. His voice calm but edged with something darker. You're strong. But strength doesn't change reality. Alex smirked, wiping sweat from their forehead. And what reality is that? Damien's lips curled into a grin, but his eyes held no amusement. That no matter what you do, what you call yourself, or how much you lift, you'll never change what you are. A few guys in the crowd murmured. Some nodded. Others shifted uncomfortably. They knew where this was going. Alex's muscles tensed. There it was. The real fight had nothing to do with weights. It was about identity, about belonging, about who had the right to stand here without question. Alex stepped closer, standing just inches from Damien. Their eyes locked. Say that again, Alex said, voice steady but filled with warning. Damien didn't blink. I said you will never be a man. The slap came so fast, most people didn't even see it. Alex's open palm struck Damien's face with a sharp crack. The gym exploded. People gasped. Some stepped back. And Damien? Damien didn't move. He stood there, his jaw slightly turned, cheek reddening where Alex had hit him. For a moment, there was silence. Then he smiled. A slow, cold, terrifying smile. Alex's breath quickened. Something was wrong. They had expected rage. They had expected Damien to snap. But instead, he looked amused. That was a mistake, Damien said quietly. And then he swung. His fist connected with Alex's ribs like a sledgehammer, knocking them back. The crowd shouted as Alex stumbled, gasping for air. Damien didn't stop. He grabbed Alex by the shirt, yanked him forward, and drove his knee into their stomach. Alex choked, doubling over. Their vision blurred. A heavy fist crashed into their jaw. Alex hit the ground. The gym erupted. Holy SH*T, someone yelled. Stop them. Yo, this is going too far. Damien loomed over Alex. He wasn't breathing hard. He wasn't even angry. He was calm, controlled, deadly. Alex gritted their teeth, forcing themselves up. They wouldn't go down like this. But as soon as they got to one knee, Damien's boot hit their chest. Hard. Alex slammed back down. Damien squatted beside them, gripping Alex's collar, yanking them close so only they could hear. You can act tough all you want, he murmured. You can scream about equality, about rights, about how the world needs to change. He tightened his grip. But reality doesn't change your feelings. The world isn't fair. And you don't belong in my world. He let go. Alex collapsed on the floor, coughing. The gym fell silent. Damien stood up, exhaling. He rolled his shoulders, shook his head, and turned away. Fight's over. The crowd parted as he walked past them. No cheers. No claps. Just pure, heavy silence. Alex lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling, and for the first time in a long time, they felt small. The gym was dead silent. The only sound was Alex's ragged breathing as they lay flat on the cold floor, eyes unfocused, ribs aching from Damien's brutal hits. The crowd still surrounded them, but no one helped. Some people looked away, suddenly interested in their phones. Others just watched, their expressions mixed, some smug, some uneasy, some entertained. And Damien? He was already walking away, like the fight hadn't even mattered, like Alex hadn't mattered. That hurt more than the hits. Alex forced themselves up on shaking arms. Their bodies screamed in protest, but they couldn't stay down. They wouldn't. Not after this. Not after he made them look weak. Hey, Damien. Their voice was hoarse, but it stopped him. The entire gym turned. Damien sighed and slowly looked over his shoulder, an eyebrow raised. You still talking? He asked, his tone bored. Alex staggered to their feet. Their lip was split, their chest burned, and their pride was shattered. But they wouldn't just take this. Not in front of everyone. You think this makes you right? Alex spat, wiping their mouth. You think beating me proves something? Damien chuckled, a slow, deep mocking chuckle. He turned fully, walking back toward them, step by step, until they were standing toe-to-toe again. Alex's fists clenched. They wouldn't go down this time. Not again. Listen, Damien said, voice low but cutting like a blade. You threw the first hit. You wanted to prove something. You wanted to be a man. He leaned in, eyes piercing. And I treated you like one. Alex froze. The words hit harder than his fists. Damien tilted his head, watching as the realization settled in. They had wanted equality, right? Well, they got it. No sympathy. No special treatment. Just reality. Damien glanced at the gym crowd. Anyone else? He called out, throwing his arms wide. Anyone else want to argue with biology today? Silence. Not a single person spoke. Not a single person stepped forward. He smirked. That's what he thought. He turned back to Alex, looking them up and down one last time. You don't have to like the truth, he said, voice calm, almost pitying. But you can't beat it. And with that, he walked away for good. This time, Alex didn't stop him. They just stood there, fists still clenched, heart hammering in their chest. And the weight of the moment crushed them, because no one was on their side. No one in the crowd said a word. No one called Damien a bully. No one cheered for Alex. Instead, they started going back to their workouts, like nothing had even happened, like Alex wasn't even worth remembering. And as they stood there, surrounded by people who had already moved on, for the first time, Alex felt it. True defeat. Alex stood frozen. Their fists were still clenched, their chests still heaving from adrenaline. But the fight was over, and Damien had won. Not just physically. Completely. The gym had already started moving on. Some guys went back to their sets. Others whispered among themselves. But no one looked at Alex the same way anymore. They weren't a fighter. They weren't a challenger. They were just another loser who tried to prove something and failed. A gym staff member finally stepped in. A short, wiry man with a nervous expression. Hey, maybe you should go, he muttered. Before things get, Alex swallowed hard. Their throat was dry. They wanted to argue, to stay, to fix this. But they couldn't, not after the way Damien had humiliated them. They turned, shoulders heavy, and walked to the locker room. No one stopped them. No one cared. They made it to the sink, gripping the edges of the counter, staring at their reflection. A split lip, bruised ribs. But worst of all, the look in their own eyes. Defeat. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. They were supposed to prove something today. That they belonged here. That they were equal. That they were just as much of a man as Damien. But reality didn't care. Damien had crushed them. Not just in front of the gym. In front of the truth itself. Alex wiped their bloody lip, forcing down the lump in their throat. And then, through the mirror, they saw someone walking behind them. Damien. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed, watching. Still calm. Still in control. Still the winner. Alex turned, eyes burning. What? Come to rub it in? Damien shook his head. No, I already won. The words hit like a second punch to the gut. Damien sighed, pushing off the wall. Look, he said, his voice still cool, unshaken. I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care what you believe. But you came in here trying to prove a fantasy. His eyes locked onto Alex's. "And reality kick your ass." Alex said nothing, because they had nothing left to say. Damien nodded to himself. Then he walked out, leaving Alex alone. In the silence, with nothing but the truth,